Your cousin, man.
Mike. Excellent.
Mike, say something.
We are here at the Fashion Design with
Back up a little. Yep.
Russell Simmons is coming through, so everybody's waiting, they're enjoying themselves, eating some nice shrimp.
You bring Jesse over here, introduce him. Will you introduce him?
He's a busy guy, so that's Jesse. Now I'm just waiting for Russell.
Waiting for Russell Simmons.
Waiting for Russell Simmons.
What's the name of this book?
Thank you. I'm on my book tour, and I hope that my book makes a difference in the lives of the people who read it. I had the experience of writing a book about 5 years ago, and after having studied the yogic scripture for 15 years, I thought I could just bring it together and put it into a book, simplify it when it changed my life so profoundly, and simplify it, and then give it to the people. But when I wrote the book, it was not the expectation anybody would read it. It's just that they gave me money and I gave it to charity. So I didn't think anybody would read the book. But Oprah found the book, and then that was it. So the first day it was a bestseller. And so after that I got so many responses that people said the book had changed their lives. And so I wrote this book with a higher expectation that it would be a good offering and it would make a difference. It was written for some of my friends or people I grew up with, I see still on the corners, if they're lucky. Some of the friends who are in prison, and some of the people in our communities who are struggling and feel locked out of the American dream. I wrote the book for them, and then I found that as this book has started to progress, there's more people that need this simple message. There's nothing in the book that is not written in Scripture. It's in the Bible, in the Quran or the Torah. And again, this book is inspired in many ways by the Yoga Sutras or the Bhagavad Gita, but they're all the same. I always think that the Scriptures all run parallel to the same one God. And so therefore, what's in one Scripture can be found and written in another. So that truth that they came in different languages and in different colors at different times in different parts of the world and said the same things is inspiring to me, especially because then you write a book and you feel comfortable that it speaks to everyone. This book was simplified in such a way that it was written for, as I said, some people who don't have the kind of aspirations or the kind of a connection to their communities that you have. I'm here at the NAACP. You're here because you care about your community and you know that your connection to this community is bigger than your small self, but that this community is in fact your big self. That's right. So you already know that. So I'm finding that more people who know these things want to be reminded. What's in this book is a reminder. There's nothing you haven't read or hasn't been taught to you by your preacher. But it was just a simplification of some simple ideas that we all forget from time to time. So the book is called Super Rich. My brother, as you know, is a reverend, so he was, when he looked at the book and he read through it, he said, you know, people, when they see the title Super Rich, they're going to expect something. And he's a prosperity preacher in line with Reverend Ike and Bishop Jordan, so he said they're going to expect something. And we talked about that for 10 more months after I wrote the book. I wrote the book in 2 months, and it was something we had talked about a lot early on, and before I wrote this book, we talked about it a few times. But I had to settle for this idea, that Jesus taught 2 scriptures, one to the masses who are anxiety-filled, and he said, if you live this life, and if you're this kind of giver or servant, then you'll be a good giver, and good givers would be great getters. And so that sermon worked for the people who had to pay the Romans their taxes. But then he told his disciples, and I like to hang my hat on this rap, if you go to work and if you're a good servant, then you'll be closer to God and you'll be happier. That's the difference, I think, between this book and The Secret. The secret is God. And we have to keep identifying that, or the higher self. Because then his disciples, by the way, did much better than the masses. They had no problem with the taxes. They were they gave without an expectation, and they gave in an earnest way, and that always leads to a greater fringe benefit. So the book is a prosperity book to the extent that you will get reminders and stories in the book about many people who were such great servants that they rose in the ranks. You know, so there's that. So traveling around the country and trying to speak to young people, you know, I'm lucky, I mean, because I've crossed generations. I was on Run's house. I see young people, they're like, it's Uncle Russell. They don't know nothing about Def Comedy Jam. They don't remember Curtis Blow. For sure, they don't even know my brother except that he's Reverend Run. They don't know. So I'm still breathing, you know, and I'm still talking to young people, which is a hell of a gift, you know. So I try to use the gift the best I can. I still, when I come to NAACP and I see all these good soldiers and servants to the community, I'm always humbled to be in their presence. There was a moment where I was that rap nigga and they didn't like me much.
Teach.
You know?
You be mom.
I'll take a few questions back. But you know, but honestly, there's a connection of generations, and language is small and tension is much bigger. Most of you are you're young enough, you grew up with rap, you know exactly that there's such great reflections of our sadness sometimes, and sometimes our greatness. And that's just the reality, and poets always will do that and be that. So that's what we should be proud of about them. So I'll take a few questions. She stopped me in a minute. I said, you can't say it. I can say it.